Welcome, welcome, welcome live. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm very hyper today. I've been thinking about you guys all day long. I'm just getting ready for this, wrote my notes for this space last night. And I'm just really stoked to bring this entire message to you. It's been very present in the room for quite a bit here, so welcome in. I've got two devices recording here live. I'm over here inside of our private community, XMH Empire. Hey, what's up, guys? Right over here, I am live on Instagram. So we're going to be recording this live, and then eventually this will become part of another landing page in our sales sequence. So wherever and however you find me, I want to say thank you so much for being here with me and taking the time. Just incredible. Thank you for giving the time today. Happy to see you. If by chance you're catching this live, go ahead and comment underneath the video. I'm a huge lover of seeing how things land with you and what's popping off in your mind and in your soul as you're watching some of this live. So I'm just going to do like a pretty brief intro for you. Today we're going to be talking about 90K in 90 days. Now, with my personal business model, I create something live pretty much every month, approximately anywhere from 2 to 5 days of content completely free for people. Because part of my business model is I personally have really thrived off of getting to know people from their free content and actually utilizing free content as a part of my journey. I still do it today as a multi-7-figure entrepreneur. So I'm a huge fan of giving back, which means I'm giving back today, and this is part of it. So typically a class like this I would charge for, and I strive to give people content that they would typically pay for in my world and in other spaces. So I hope that today you'll actually bring yourself completely into the room. Have a pad of notes available. Really give yourself the time and the space to take in this content, because this could be something that completely radically changes your summer. So 90K in 90 days. The concept of this that I want to bring live today basically is because I experienced 90K in 90 days several different times in my career, and I want to bring you into the room with the fact that this is completely possible. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you if you're live is I'm going to ask you right now if you will make an agreement with me. Would you agree today to leave the past at the door? We're going to talk about some big concepts today. We're first going to start with mindset, and then we're going to move into the strategy together. But in order for the mindset pieces to actually land for you, you have to leave the past at the door. So if you can agree with me on that and just leave whatever happened before this behind, can you just comment if you're watching live, or if you're watching a replay, write it in your notes, write, I check my past at the door. And imagine that you are walking into this room that we're creating today, and you're going to take off the past like a cloak or like a coat, and you're going to lovingly thank it and put it on the coat hanger and check it at the door. Will you check the past at the door? If you're live, write it in the comments. Just check it at the door for me. There you go. Loving seeing you. Just make that commitment. A little feedback or just intro for you guys on my story if you're newer to my spaces. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for about a decade, and I've made multi-millions since the pandemic of 2020. I was also incidentally building my family during that time. So I have a 3-year-old and I have a 1-year-old as we speak right now. And we average 7-figure years now. This wasn't always the case. My first, probably 4 years in business, we were profiting net zero. I was in business from 2015, actually roughly 2014, but 2015 to 2019, my first several years in business, I had $12,000 to my name after putting in grind time hours. Do you know what I mean? Like really grinding for several years. And if I can just do all of you a favor, I want to tell you the concept of 90K in 90 days was brought to me after I had been hustling, and really we sold a lot, but we didn't really profit. So I was a failure in business at the time that we hit our first 90K and 90-day launch. So it was imperative. I had 4 years of bad luck. I had 4 years of business mistakes when this came into my orbit. And this is why I want to say to you, it's not luck. It's not just some things work for some people. I had to have a complete paradigm shift for this to happen in my life. And it required me to take off the cloak of the last 4 years of business and lovingly check that at the door and allow something else to drop in. It's imperative for me today that you leave whatever business failures you've had in the past out of this conversation. Lovingly check them. Check them at the door and bring your whole self into this room. Because by the end of our conversation today, I want you to actually believe and imagine for yourself that 90K extra in 90 days for you is possible. Now, here's who this conversation is for. Typically, in the work that I do as a multi-million-dollar brand and mentor, it's typically with people who are either have brick and mortar practices like service-based industries, are coaching, mentoring, or selling courses. That's very common in my world. Or they're product sellers who know that it's time to add some other streams into their brand. So if you are someone who wants to make this kind of money, like 90K in 90 days type money, this conversation is for you. Additionally, if you're someone who already makes 90K in 90 days, but you want to make 90K more this summer, this conversation is for you. So don't dismiss what I'm about to say. If you're like, I already make $1 million a year. Perfect. Would you like to double that? This is the level of strategy that we're playing on today. So again, I'm going to welcome you into the conversation. I'm Xtina Harmsworth. I'm a multi-seven-figure mentor, business owner, entrepreneur, and mom. And this summer, I'm going to be working anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 or 5 hours maximum per day. I'm scaling my hours way back, and I'm going to be teaching my highest end clients of my mastermind exactly how to do what I've done in the past. So if you're here for that kind of conversation and you're ready for the mindset shift, can you just put give me like a fire in the comments if you're ready for some mindset shift today. All right. Evidence. Evidence is a keyword right now. Evidence. Evidence. It truly matters who you hang out with. And I mean in person, but also digitally. Evidence matters. After those first 4 initial years in business where I had almost a net zero profit, I put myself in a different room with a different kind of person and some different evidence. The conversation that I let myself into in early 2019 was with someone a lot like me. She looked at how hard I was working. She looked at my business model. And the conversation was just so different with her. She gave me evidence that things could change. Because I had checked my past at the door and said, I'm ready for something different. I'm ready to feel different. I'm ready to work different. I'm ready to let go of some of this hustle life. But I need evidence that this can happen for me. She gave me evidence. And the first thing was sharing the fact that not only did she make this kind of money on limited hours, but she also had a stack of clients who was doing the same thing. And the conversations that we had were just so different. She would just tell me like, yeah, of course you should be selling 10K offers. What are you talking about? Of course, people will pay you to be taught by you these beautiful things that you know. People all over the world are doing this right now. My mentor back then showed me evidence that she had made about $50 million in sales throughout her career, working limited hours a week, doing really high integrity, beautiful work. And this is key to say because there's a lot of things happening in the social media landscape that make you think that you can just sell things and not show up. So to be clear, we're not talking about that. This was someone in super high integrity, and she was showing up so beautifully for me and the rest of her clients, but she wasn't available all the time, and it was awesome because there was plenty of time to integrate the work that she was giving us to do. In every conversation that I spoke with her, she talked about the fact that other people were making it. And she talked about higher ticket pricing than what I was used to. So if you have notes right now, just write this phrase, consider high ticket. Just write it down. And if you're live, pop that in the comments. Consider high ticket. Just pop that in for me. This woman gave me evidence for unfathomable, to me, wealth that I could create in 90 days. Incidentally, I got pregnant the same week that I hired her. That was on purpose. I wanted a baby. I was tired of the way that I had been doing business. I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted a completely different way of doing business than anything that I've ever done before, because I had been grinding it out for 4 years, and I was like, I'm ready for a shift. Are any of you guys like that? Like, okay, I've been doing this for a hot minute. It hasn't really panned out the way that I want. I'm ready for a shift. $90K in 90 days. The first time that I ever created these results was in 2019. I went from selling $26 lipsticks. That was my first business. To be clear, I wasn't selling someone else's brand. I was not a network marketer. I wasn't an affiliate marketer. I actually created my own makeup line from scratch after being a celebrity makeup artist. We had over 200 successful sellout product launches, which were priced incorrectly, and it left me working full-time as a CEO for 4 years with only $12,000 in my bank account, and I was over it. So I started working with this incredible mentor, and she was like, I love you, and please stop peddling $26 lipsticks immediately. What if you stop the way that you're doing and also check that at the door? Are there some things about your brand that are not yielding you the results that you want? And it's time to just lovingly be like, okay, that can be a income stream, but it's not going to be the income stream. Are you ready for something different? Mentorship at that time pulled the best out of me. This person saw my skills, what I had already done in my lifetime, and she helped me to craft an offer that was a $10,000 mastermind for 12 weeks. I was pregnant. I was on a time clock. You gotta know, when you're pregnant, you got a time clock. The clock was ticking. We did a 90-day launch that actually created more than $100,000 in revenue. 90 days. I had never made that kind of money before in my life. I was ecstatic. I felt like it was doing the impossible. I felt a little bit under the gun, especially being pregnant. But I had a big old why, because at the time, I needed a bigger car to put a baby seat in the back of, And I knew that I was going to stay being a CEO and an entrepreneur, even though I had a baby. I knew I was going to come back to business. So I knew that I needed to bank some money for childcare and a cleaning lady. I knew that that was going to be my lifestyle. So I had a big old why. I had a big reason to go after this 100K launch, this 90K in 90 days. I had a big reason to show up for it. So the first thing that I want to have you visit today, write it in your notes. What would you do with $90,000? Like for real, for real. Let's say this is happening for you this year. Let's say this is going to be your sexiest summer of sales ever. Let's say we're reworking your brand together. Let's say you do it and you've got $90,000 cash in your hands. What's it for? What is it for real? Because this is the difference. 95% of people are operating with their subconscious mind running the show. They don't think about what they're thinking about. So even having conversations about money can just feel like you can just tune right out. Like, oh, 90K in 90 days. And then it loses its value, loses its punch. Until you make it personal to you and you let yourself dream into, if you had an extra 90K cash this year that you built towards, what are you doing with it? Big, 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 big vision. What are you doing with it? Someone commented, travel on a trip that seems out of reach, and specifically, where are you going? What plane ticket are you buying? Have you looked at how much that plane ticket actually costs? Do you want to fly first class? What's that ticket? Where are you staying? What's the resort? What is the smell when you walk in the door? Because you know how like certain resorts, they have a smell. They have an aroma when you walk in. What are you doing there? What are you drinking there? What are you eating there? What experiences do you want to have extra cash for? Who do you want to take with you on a trip of a lifetime? If you had $90,000, you're probably not going to go by yourself. You're probably going to take someone with you. But put yourself 100% in it. Like as if you're breathing it. What's the money for? Someone else said they would buy a house. What house? Right? Like what kind, what caliber, what's the down payment? What is the thing? What are you doing? Someone else who's live right now just said, prevent my eviction, 1,000,000%. That's a big old why. So for me, the first time that I created a $100,000 launch over about 90 days, it was because I was newly pregnant. I felt under the gun. I was a little bit scared. And also, I wanted a specific quality of life. I'm huge on quality of life. I knew that with zero shame, I was definitely going to need a nanny. I was definitely going to need a housekeeper because I was not going to stop doing business because of becoming a mom. I'm a conscious parent. I'm super involved in my kid's life. I didn't want to send them to childcare. I wanted enough money to bring somebody into my home so that I could always look down the hallway or pop in and see exactly what was happening with my kids and be involved with them their entire childhood. It costs money. So that was my big old why. The first time that I hit 90K in 90 days, it was because of that. I had a big reason why. I had a lot on the line and I wasn't willing to give away my quality of life for becoming a mother. That was the first time and we crushed it. I took a little micro maternity leave, had my daughter, and then the pandemic dropped in. So here I was again, early 2020, in February 2020, and I had to rework my entire brand. If you're live, write the words, rework my entire brand. I had one thing that had worked. I had a whole model that had worked the year before that now couldn't work because of the pandemic. Woo-wee. Rework the business model. This matters. Strategy matters. But again, I needed a mindset shift because I was like, great, the thing that I did for my first $100,000, I can no longer do anymore. Awesome. Now what? I was under the gun and I needed a mindset shift. Once again, I had an incredible mentor in my life who looked at my entire business model and said, make these few tweaks, let's run. Again, in a summer where it felt impossible. And for some of you, you're in a season where it might feel like, that would be impossible. My back's a little bit against the wall and I have no evidence that I could do this. Okay? I had no evidence for what I could do in 2020, except I was hanging around with other people who were doing it. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Again, during the pandemic, we changed our entire business model. And again, we crushed over $100,000 in 90 days. Evidence, stacking. I was being around other people who were doing this and it supercharged me to go try. Against all odds. The third time in a peculiar season that we did $90,000 in 90 days. This is my favorite one. And this is the one that's been so like present in the room for me, like in the last month or so. I'm going to give you some context for this. The brand that my team and I have built, we are averaging about $1 million years now, a little bit over. And in the last, I would say 9 months, I experimented with a lot of different stuff. I'm a 5/1 manifesting generator in human design, if you're a human design person at all. And I just follow my whim. I follow what turns me on. I follow my curiosities. And once my baby, Maeve, was about done breastfeeding and I felt like I had a little bit more spaciousness, I just decided to play around, launch a lot of different things, follow some different business models from different people, various coaches and mentors, and just try a lot of different things. And what I found was that with some of the launch models that I see in the organic coaching industry, it just makes you busy. It's just busy. It's a lot of energy. And as an artist, and as a human being, and as a mom, I actually work more like a projector in human design, if you're familiar with that. If you're not, it really means that I only prefer to work about 4 hours a day. I like a lot of time to think and be creative and like live life and flip and enjoy it. Anybody else? I literally just don't desire to work 9-hour days. I don't desire to work 8-hour days. I don't desire to miss what my kids are doing. I don't desire to be too busy to do somatic work or like be able to just sit around with my kids sometimes if they want that, or play in the middle of the day. So just this summer, my team and I decided to scale my hours back to about anywhere from one minimum, but probably on average about 4 hours a day, sometimes 5. That's my happy space. That's how much I want to work. And what I realized when we scaled the hours back was like, oh snap, I've actually done this before. We've absolutely done this before. Right after my daughter Maeve was born. So she'll be turning, she's 1 right now, but she'll be turning 2 late this summer. And right after baby Maeve was born, I remember I scaled my hours back as a CEO, as the co-founder to multiple different companies with my husband. I scaled my hours back to like 1 to maybe 3 hours a day. Just try this on like a beautiful like gauzy shirt, gauzy linen shirt. Just put it on, wrap it up, and wrap up the concept of I can work 1 to 3 hours a day and make $90,000 in 90 days. Just put that on and feel it. The relief of it, the coolness of it, the like, oh my God of it. Put it on like it's yours. So let's break this down. $90,000 in 90 days is only about $30K a month. There's a lot of beautiful ways to have a 30K month, and that's excellent money. It's really beautiful money. It's enough money to have a team. If you've got kids, it's enough money to bring in childcare. It's enough money to take some trips, to take some days off, some weekends, and just pop on a plane or in a car and go to the beach or live life this summertime. Yeah, it feels like God, 1,000,000%. Just put it on and feel the coolness of it. Feel the weightlessness of that. Like, oh man, it's completely possible to make $90,000 in 90 days. 1,000,000% possible. With 1 to maybe 3, 4 max hours a day. What if? So the last time that my team and I really dropped into this schedule was right after baby Maeve was born. And I just wasn't available for more work than that. I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss her being the baby. I didn't want to be beholden to my phone all day long. And somehow this summer I'm back in that spot again of like, my kids are such the dream. They're such just the thing in my life, and I don't want to miss it. And we love going to the beach. We go to the beach a lot. You'll see it in my stories. Like, I document it. We do beach trips. We do family trips. You know, I take really good care of myself. I love to do breath work and somatic practices and red light therapy, and I lift weights at the gym. I do a lot of things to care for the body temple, right? It takes time, and I want that. I don't want to be in my phone all day long. So this summer we decided to scale it back. And I thought, this is the time to bring this business model into my entire practice. Because here's what we're not doing. A lot of times when women decide to scale back their hours, they also scale back their money. Do you agree? I've seen this since I started in business. I have seen where women literally get burned out because they've been grinding for so long. And then it's like they hide behind the guise of they want more time with their family, and then they scale back their hours, but they haven't given it enough strategy up front to also keep the money flowing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like people say that they're stepping into motherhood, and really they're sacrificing money. And I'm not available for that. I love money. You will find that the longer that you hang out around me, I love money because I love a quality of life. And it takes money to have the kind of quality of life that I desire, right? So we're not sacrificing money for motherhood. We are here for the both and. Agree? And it takes strategy. This conversation that we're having today, starting with a mindset shift. I've told you 3 different times in my career where I felt like I was up against the odds. I either had time constraints, global economic collapse kind of constraints, or just I could only work 1 to 3 hours a day, and we still made it happen. Clients inside of my mastermind are doing incredible things. We just had a check-in for Locked and Loaded, my mastermind, and I'm finding out that there are people within my mastermind right now that just crushed their entire last year numbers. We had a client that hit 100K for the year this last weekend. We had another client that she just surpassed 50K. We're halfway through the year. And another client that just had a 100K day. So what we're going to talk about in terms of strategy, I want to do some frameworking around this right now. I don't mind working with newer entrepreneurs, and I get newbie entrepreneurs set up on the right foot. But really, in my heart of hearts, my work in this world, my lot in life, is to help people hit consistent 100K to 500K years. That's my horrible lot in this life. Yeah. 100K to 500K years. So what we're about to discuss, this is about things that, can take you to 90K in 90 days. And this is also concepts that take you past 100K years all the way up into the 500K years, which I have clients that do those types of results too. So no matter where you are in your business, you can decide that this is the day where you can literally take off what you've been doing before and just try on some different concepts today. Does that sound fair? Because not only am I doing these kinds of numbers and more, but I plan to create an entire group of clients this summer who are doing the same thing. Another one of my 100K graduates just joined live. So it's beautiful. It's possible, but you've got to believe that this could be for you. So take off everything that you've been doing the last several months or years in business that has not gotten you the results that you've really desired. And I want you to put on desire today and step into possibilities of adding an extra 90K to your brand this year. Does that sound fair? No matter where you are, even if you already make 90K, 100K a year, $1 million a year, what if you added on top of that? If that sounds fair, write the word fair for me. And let's drop in. How's that for a paradigm shift anyways? Like it matters so much that we start with a mindset shift that this is possible for you. It matters so much. Okay. So there's some really important pieces that you need in place to create these results. The pieces that I'm going to talk about, they were the common denominator for me every time that I got to these specific results. Okay. And if you're watching live, if you by chance are catching this live, you can write the notes in the comment section. You can have your notes out in front of you. But we're going to move into number 1. Okay. This is what I call audience growth mode. So imagine that you are gonna work, let's call it 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's a 15-hour work week. Does that sound fair? So write this down. 3 hours a day, X 5 days a week. Now, depending on what kind of person you are, you might cram that all into 2 days a week and schedule stuff. I don't care how you do it, but let's just talk about a 15-hour work week. You can tell I live in this city. You hear those sirens? This is one of my current motivators right now, is I don't want to live by any traffic. So this is one of my other reasons for the sexiest summer of sales ever. I don't want to live by traffic. Thank God for fire and police, but I don't want to live by that. Anyways, okay. So the first piece is called audience growth mode. It's imperative for you as an entrepreneur that you have what I call social media hygiene, like real good social media hygiene. Here's what I mean. There are things that you do with your human every single day, and they're part of your hygiene, right? Like, for me personally, I shower every day. Not everyone does, I know, but I do. I prefer it. It's part of my hygiene. I brush my teeth every day. It's my hygiene. I may not put on makeup every day. I may not dress fancy every day, but there are like minimum standards of operation that I do every day for my personal hygiene. Social media is the same. And for context, everything that I'm going to talk about today is built organically. So I'm not going to be discussing the use of things like paid ads. I'm not against them. That's just not what we're talking about today. We're going to first start with great social media hygiene. So for audience growth mode, there are specific targets that you've got to hit every day in terms of growth. So some things that we teach inside of my space, the XMH Empire, inside of my Locked and Loaded Mastermind, is I walk people through things like reels and carousel creation and copywriting for their posts, because you actually do want to be present on social media at least 5 days a week. I go for 7. There's beautiful ways that you can schedule this stuff out so that you actually don't have to be looking at your phone on those days. You can schedule reels in advance. You can schedule posts in advance. You can do a lot of things to not be the one on the phone all the time. but you've at least got to have audience growth mode happening for you so that people are finding out about you literally every day. So piece number one of doing successful 90K and 90-day summers, we're going to talk about it as a summer, is audience growth mode needs to be activated. So write that in the chat, write it in your notes. Piece number one is audience growth mode activated. I'm curious too, how did you guys find out about my accounts? Where did you find me? How did you find me? Because however we found each other, I would say 90% of it was through audience growth. My intentional showing up in different places to get eyes on my accounts. The thing about sales is you can't sell to an empty room. It's like shouting down a hallway. Like there's no one there. There's no one to talk to, right? So you actually have to fill your audience with aligned people to you so that when you put an offer out there, it sells. Yep. So piece number one is audience growth mode activated. You got to have an audience so that you can sell. That's piece number one. Okay. Piece number two in generating a 90K outcome inside of 90 days is what I consider a super aligned to you suite of offers, also known as a hell yes offer suite. A hell yes offer suite. Remember earlier when I said consider high ticket? Yeah. Every time that I've actually generated that specific outcome of 90K in 90 days in seasons where it felt like it was against the odds, we had at least one component in our brand that was higher ticket, meaning like anywhere from 5K to like 15K. Higher ticket. This is usually about the section of the conversation where your brain wants to check out. Typical. So if you're feeling the brain fog, just about to just try and settle over your head like a little fog, we're just going to tell it to go. F off. Keep your head in the game right now. Keep your body in the game. Do some shoulder rolls. Take a deep breath. Land yourself here. Let's talk high ticket. If you're someone who wants to generate 90K in 90 days, that roughly breaks down to 30K months. If all you're selling is $26 lipsticks and $99 classes, that's a heck of a lot of stuff to sell. And this is a huge mistake that I find in newer businesses is they drastically underestimate themselves against the quote unquote competition in the market. And so they try to undercut and underprice everyone. How do I know? Because I used to do it. But if you're newer and your audience is smaller, does anyone consider themselves in that category? Do you consider yourself to have a smaller audience and newer to business? 5 years or less in business? Not really known as one of the big time, big shots in your industry? Anybody? You can raise your hand in the comments if you're brave. If you consider yourself that way, one of the biggest mistakes that you can do is only selling low ticket. Because you're selling from a place of asking for permission. You're selling from a place of asking if you're worthy. You're selling from a place of, I don't know who will actually pay me. So let me just sell stuff. This is how the mind works. Let me just sell stuff for $33 or $26 or $99 or $222. And like, we'll see if anybody buys. But it's a huge mistake. Because if your audience is smaller, and you're trying to hit a $30,000 month and you don't have bigger offers for people to scale to, you're capped by the size of your audience. I'm going to play around with some math right here. Say you had an audience of, let's say, 1,000 people that actively like watch your stuff. And out of those 1,000 people, maybe 5% of people ever buy anything from you. You've got to capitalize on that 5% of people who are really paying attention and willing to open their wallet for the quality of work that you do. So when I say have a suite of offers, I mean have a suite of hell yes offers for you. I mean that I would want to see a minimum of 3 different prices in your suite. A lower ticket, a mid-level, and a high ticket, so that depending on who people are and how much proximity and expertise they want from you, that they have a place to let themselves in the door. I just said something really interesting. Write the word let themselves into the door. Write it in your notes. This is sales. Your offer suite is a way that you let people let themselves into the door. So to be clear, when I talk about selling, I'm in love with selling. I'm obsessed with selling, but I don't pressure sell. I don't high ticket close people. I don't do a ton of sales calls. Like, that's not the business model. I don't close people. I create ways for people to let themselves in the door at the appropriate price for them. This is why you've got to have an offer suite. And this might mean that you leave today and you go and you brainstorm for an hour or two and you just disconnect from the things that you've been doing in the past that have capped your money. You may want to consider having very specific things in your offer suite that allow people to let themselves into your door, including high ticket. Okay? The third thing that's absolutely imperative for you to create $90,000 in 90 days is you have got to fall head over heels, all in the feels, head over heels in love with selling. In love, which is a radical way to talk about money, but it's the truth. You have got to fall butt crazy in love with sales. And I know that just by saying that, I lost somebody. They're like, nope, hate selling. Like, you heard the word selling and you went, I don't want to sell. I've been sold to. I didn't like it. I don't like people penetrating my inbox. Listen, I don't want to be penetrated either. Not without my consent. And this is why everything that I teach about sales is around respect, integrity, and consent in selling. But I'm in love with it. Selling is one of the funnest things that I do in my whole entire brand. And a big piece of that is the fact that I have a body connection. I have a body response to selling. I had somebody in my past who was amazing when I didn't want to have good habits with food and with my body, and I was trying to rewire that, and I said, I hate meal prep. I hate meal prep. I don't like it. It's annoying. I want to outsource it. I don't want to do this for myself. It's a waste of time. It stresses me out. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And this is the energy that some people walk into my world feeling about sales. They're like, I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I don't understand it. It's frustrating. It gives me anxiety. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. My heart rate goes up, da 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 da. Okay. So this amazing angel of a person said, you need to actually connect your body and your emotions to doing meal prep. So every time that you meal prep, you need to turn on some like good old school 90s hip hop and dance in your kitchen while you make food. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you have to learn how to have fun while you're doing this thing, because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life in some way, shape, or form until you have enough money to hire a chef or whatever. But like, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. You've got to make it fun. And you have to establish like a dopamine and serotonin connection to doing this thing. This is the mindset shift that a lot of you guys could really bring on board and access in your cells. If you can create a neural pathway where sales becomes fun for you, you have the ace in the hole. Tomorrow I'm going to be going deeper on selling. So a little like teaser for that. But I literally can sell every day of the year. Like, it's easy for me. It's like breathing. People tell me that they have to unfollow me because I can sell them anything. I'm like, yes, I only sell you things that are going to make your life amazing. So I have no guilt on that. I will sell to you every day. But you've got to rewire your connection to selling. You got to fall in love with it and get really freaking good at it, because it's a multi-million-dollar industry. Did you know that in terms of entrepreneurship and being financially free, completely financially free, the top thing that you could ever be, besides a paid athlete, but even this tops it, is sales. Sales is the uncapped profession of the planet. There's no cap. I personally know people who make more money than Adele annually because they love to sell and they got great at it. You want that Adele money out here? Adele money? Learn to sell. Learn to sell. This is such the clutch piece of this, and it doesn't take a lot of time, which brings me back to the possibility of working 1 to 3 hours a day. When you make sales part of your social media brushing of the teeth, your social media hygiene, if you will, you can hit 90K in 90 days with a breeze. Okay? Are you guys ready for the last two pieces? Last two pieces that are imperative for hitting 90K in 90 days. And I hope you guys are taking massive notes. I really hope you are. I hope you're letting this land. I hope you are putting on the possibility cloak of like, oh shoot, like this can be my summer. Because literally, this could be the conversation that changes everything. I've had a few good ones of these in my entire life. I really have. I've had one good one. It was about a 45-minute conversation with my first mentor that literally rewrote my program internally, where I was like, why am I selling $26 lipsticks? I could be selling a $10,000 mastermind. What am I doing? And she literally said, what are you doing? It was an intervention. So interventionally, I'm going to say, what are you doing? I love you. What are you doing? Stop! What if this is the summer where you hit $90,000 extra income than what you're already making? Second time this happened, I had a guy coach back then. I had a bunch of guy coaches that summer. And they were like, what do you mean you're not doing this? What do you mean? Hire someone else to do it for you, but for frick's sake, do it. I was like, I don't wanna. They're like, get out there and do it. Okay. And the third time that this happened, right after I had baby Maeve, I was watching other people do what I'm about to tell you about. And we're gonna go deep on this tomorrow. So come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're gonna go even deeper. I just have respect for people's time. I just want to keep these about an hour long, okay? The third time that we hit 100K-ish, it was 90K in 90 days exactly, right? 93,000 in 90 days, right after I had baby Maeve, working 1 to 3 hours a day. It was because of what I'm about to tell you right now. I already had a lot of things in place, but this was the next level. Ready? The next two pieces that are imperative for you to hit 90K in 90 days and do it back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Because did you hear me say, my lot in life is to help people hit 100K to 500K years consecutively. Did you catch that part? Not that it would be a bad thing to make $90,000 one time, but when you make it one time, don't you want to do it again and again and again? Let's do some quick math. If you can learn how to make 90K in 90 days and you do that 4 times, how much money is that? 9, 18, 27, 36, $360,000? What if what we're about to talk about and what I'm doing with my clients this year, what if this is the thing that makes you a multi-6-figure earner? And every year you get better. Every year I get better. Every year I get better. Every year I make more. I haven't had a stagnant year. Every year we get better. This is the conversation. All right? Sorry, 2 more things. 1, it's called offer stacking and scaling. Inside your first 90 days, you're going to find things that people love that you're offering. And there may be times in the first 90 days where you pitch some different stuff and it just doesn't land, and it can be incredibly disappointing if you can't see it for what it is. If you make it mean that you are not good enough because your offer initially doesn't sell the way that you thought it would, and you internalize that and make it be around your self-worth, you have lost the game. But instead, what you need to be looking for is what offers are landing with people. What offers are getting people curious? What offers get people asking questions? What offers get the most interaction? And what offers actually sell? And once you know what your winners are, you start stacking more around those offers, meaning you could do continuations, you could offer VIP days around it, you could offer different levels of service around your winner. And then there's ways of scaling those offers and turning them to things like B2B or just memberships, in-person experiences, retreats. There's a bunch of ways to scale it bigger and serve more people at a quality level with a ton of integrity. But you've got to find out what your offer is first that sells, and that's part of the 90-day process. So offer stacking and scaling. And the last piece is you got to have a badass profile, baby. And man, I did so good. I only swore once this whole training. I'm really working on my professional linguistics because I'm very sweary typically, but this is going to get repurposed for a landing page somewhere. And I was really trying not to swear, but it just poked out. Just popped out. You got to have a profile that will sell for you in your sleep. I wake up every day of my life now and there are Stripe and PayPal notifications. That's the nature of my business. I let somebody brainwash me a couple of years ago and they told me, if you will sell every day of your life, you'll get paid every day of my life. And I wrote it on my mirror in my vanity. And I decided this is going to be me. I can help you, Carolyn. She says, who can help me create that profile? Come into Locked and Loaded. This is what we do. You've got to have a profile where people can find ways to pay you immediately, if not sooner. You do not want people coming to your profile going, well, dang, I wish I could buy her stuff, but I sure as frick can't find the link. You've got to have incredible world-class branding, because when you want to step into a place where you're charging a higher ticket, there's a visual appeal element to that, because you are serving people at the highest end of the market. So you've got to have visuals and linguistics that match that. So again, you got to have a badass profile. I call them the profitable profile. These are the pieces that you must have in place to be the kind of person that makes 90K in 90 days on repeat. People have to be able to buy from you in your sleep. Yeah. So these are the components that are necessary for 90K in 90 days. Now, tomorrow, we're going to deep dive further into things around sales. But I have 2 incredible opportunities for you right now. The first opportunity is you can take everything that we talked about today and you can write it in your notes and you can go activate it in your life, like as soon as right now. You can exit this call, and I literally wish you the most amazing success. Take what you learned here and act like you paid for it. That's the point. That's the point of this part of my sales model. I want to freaking educate you so that someday you come back to me and you say, Xtina, I literally listened to your content and I made $10,000 off of your free masterclass. People tell me that stuff on a regular basis. So go be that person. You're welcome to. And the second opportunity is for the person that's like, I want to activate on it, but I want steps A, B, C, D, E. Like I want the whole package. And I want to do it with you. So I have a place for that. It's called Locked and Loaded. It's my year-round mastermind. It's a 12-month commitment. And that space has something really special. Now, I'm not going to say pricing on this because this video is going to get put on a landing page and there's going to be special offers and some different things. But there'll be a button underneath the video, today and on the landing page where you can find out all the details about my high-end mastermind. This particular space is for the person who is 100% serious that they're going to make 100K to 500K years their norm. They're dedicated to learning the entire process, start to finish. They're dedicated to showing up once a week and masterminding with their peers. They're 100% certain that this is for them. They're willing to leave the old at the door. They're willing to leave their old micro successes and their old failures at the door and learn something completely new in business. And they are certain that they are the kind of person that doesn't want to work for someone else for the rest of their life. They do want to possibly work 1 to 3 hours a day. Like that's what they want. And they're willing to do it. They're not waiting for permission. They're not waiting for someone to validate them. And they're sure that this is for them. So Locked and Loaded is the premier place to be. But my team and I have been doing something freaking incredible. Okay, listen close. This is a very limited time offer. My team and I have been doing this secret thing behind the scenes, where once a month we create an experience for people that's worth $5,000. It's a 24-hour offer where you get access to me and my team and some very specific tools for your business. It's called the Day Pass, and we're doing it this month. Now, this is a completely free experience. It's complimentary. You have to apply to be in it. And this is exclusive to people who are dead serious about joining Locked and Loaded, and they want to experience it before they join. So the value of this offer is $5,000. It's free to you, but you do have to go through our application process to make sure that it's a good fit for you and for us. So if you'd like to be considered for this experience, and very sweet, Tanya's here. She took the Day Pass and she said it's life-changing. Thank you. That's what everyone seems to say. Trish said the same. Day Pass is incredible. We're going to be doing it this month. And if you want to secure your spot, you've got to reach out to my team immediately, like right now. Either you can comment underneath this video, you can message me directly. If you end up watching this when it's part of a landing page, there should be a button below where you can click for Day Pass to apply to see if you're a good candidate for this experience with us. And that's it. No sales today, just 2 incredible ways to activate on this. 1, take what you learned, go run with it in the world and go do something big this summer. 2, if you want to do it step by step with me, be in Locked and Loaded. It's, in my opinion, it's the best place on the entire internet. And 3, Day Pass. If you want your hands on it, if you want to be inside of it, you got to apply. And do it fast because it's going to fill. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you back here tomorrow. We are going to deep dive tomorrow on sales. So if you know that you want to actually kick that 90K in 90 days into gear, be back here tomorrow, 1 o'clock, and we're going to go into some sales strategy tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Thanks for being here today. Love you guys. Have the best day, and bye for now.